Go.
Boom.
We're back after our first seminar, and we're still talking. Mark still has more to say after 4 hours.
I have more to say.
Did you just go home and stare at a wall last week or last night? After
Yeah, it was pretty useless. Thank God for Andrea. She was doing all the shit at home and the baby.
And
She's like, after the dinner, get ready. You have to give Caleb a bath. And then I'm like, just sitting there staring at the wall.
That's.
And then she
answering
did
things
me.
like, or.
I was passing out, like my head snapping back and back.
Really?
Like I was tired, but I also was kind of wired or amped, so I couldn't sleep. You know that in between. So it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Luckily, I had my office party because I was like in a weird mood too.
I had a little bit of wine, and it was just enough to make me more tired, but not in a good way. You know what I mean?
Sleep like a baby.
Yeah, it was good, man. I'm super excited how everything went. Saturday was definitely harder because it was harder in a way that it was only an hour and a half, and I had to condense 4 hours of stuff, you know. But that went well. Yesterday in my opinion, it went well. 4 hours of lecturing, talking, teaching is kind of strenuous.
It's a lot, man.
It is a lot. And like you talked about afterwards with Chris, it's like it's difficult because usually I do the assessments with one person.
Yeah. Now you're having
assessing
20 people assess
at the same time.
Yeah.
And teaching them how to do it. So that was interesting.
And we're really learning how to condense it too, right? Like coming up with the packet of programming, but more importantly, the assessment portion of it, of the writing out your deficiencies. And that was great. And showing people on the fly. Because I think the cool part for people in the seminar is like the immediate activation, the immediate
feedback.
Yeah, and you feel it right. You feel the FixFit muscles firing like right away, and you could apply it to something like a back squat, body weight, and just feel it change like right away.
You know what? After running this giant, massive like assessment and teaching them, I realized that's like a huge difference of what we're trying to do. Because I've taken seminars and your mind's kind of blown with like whatever you're learning. You pick up those key nuggets. But then you really don't know like how he's doing it or how he or she, whoever's presenting is doing it. You're just like, I remember those days where I did like a Kelly Starrett thing, right? Like you do a mobility WOD, and then all of a sudden you get this new range of motion, and you know your arms back, 20 degrees further, and you're like, that's a cool feedback in a test. But at the end of the day, I don't really know exactly what's happening mechanically. Yeah, I don't know enough of it to articulate it to my cousin or coworker.
Yeah, there was a lot of times where I was like, bring up a person. Like in my head, I was going to suggest it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait, no. Like, that is the traditional seminar, right? Yeah. Like, let me show you how fucked up this guy is. Look at that.
The wow factor.
And then like, oh, whoa, he changed that guy, but you're not changing me. Yeah. So you were like, you guys go through it and then record it. And then I was walking around, DJ was walking around, Leslie was walking around helping people. And I wrote down a lot of notes of kind of... the more common things I was seeing that people were having issues with, but a lot of light bulb moments for a lot of people.
I think that's the big key is like we want people to understand the shock is like, I remember I was in college one day in one of those classes, Kines or something, and they're doing like a PNF stretch, right? And they're like, wow, look at the leg started here. Yeah. Then we're doing this PNF stretching, and then all of a sudden they went back more and more, and it's like magic. But then it's like you said, it's kind of just for show, you really don't understand how to like it works, and if you do, you really don't know how to apply it still,
Yeah, and I love that people. I mean, we take advantage of our technology. It's like everyone's got their phone sitting there. It doesn't matter what brand you have. Everyone's got a smartphone at that seminar. They all could record each other, and then you have day one assessment video of yourself.
And just look at the Instagram post, right, of the CrossFit Flight coach Hanato, shout out. He's a super cool dude, but the before and after just like it was crazy. And the thing is, it wasn't us posting it. He posted it. He understood. He saw the change immediate. So it's not like I kept saying in the seminar, like the concept is you always have to ask why and test it. Don't just believe us. Yep. And so they got to experience it and see it. And so it's like they know what they're doing. Yep. It's not that we showed them some magic trick and they're like, wow, that's cool. And then now what do I do tomorrow or what do I do later?
And he gets to do what we did where we were like nerding out over how great it felt immediately, but now he gets to go show his members.
Yeah.
And now he has a bunch of guinea pigs like we did.
Yeah, and that's like he's probably starting. This is the timeline's 3 years later, right? But I'm excited for his whole community, his coaching, all his clients.
Yeah, dude, it's freaking awesome.
Seeing is believing, and that's what's really interesting because when I took the Strong Fit seminars, things like that, I realized my hamstring doesn't fire, and it was just more frustrating.
Yep.
And the idea was, it is to show you that things aren't working, and that's great. But then when you actually see the changes and you pair that up with feeling the changes, you learn so much quicker. And I loved how a lot of people looked at their own phones of how they're moving, and then like Mary, she was like, man, it's like hard to watch. Because they don't even realize they're moving that imbalanced or poorly.
Yeah.
And then so now they have that visual right away, and I'm like, man, that's such a great line. It's like, it is hard to watch. But this is exactly what we've been doing and working out at intensity, lifting heavier.
Yep.
But it's like there's no kind of guesswork.
And when we're having people slow down, like let's say a squat, and they're shaking because they're trying to flex their VMO and their glute together, they don't even realize. Like when you're down there in that piston squat, you're just shaking. And you're like, what the hell is going on? And then you watch a video and you go, oh, let me compare that to when it wasn't shaking.
Yeah.
And I'm straight.
Exactly.
Like my hips don't shift anymore.
Your spine straight.
It's like, what the hell? Yeah, like my body's upright now instead of looking all hunched over. It's like, it's weird. But you have to have that, visual feedback too, rather than just the tactile. You get both with what we're doing.
Because like we were saying, when they saw their own video, they're saying like it's so hard to watch. They couldn't believe how messed up they were.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, if you didn't have that visual, the way that they're working, the way that they're working out, in their brain, they're seeing themselves as straight.
Right.
So then there's no way they can fix it when you give them verbal cues, right? Like, hey, fire your glutes, or you're overextending, or your spine's not neutral. They have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
They have no clue that they're like 15 degrees to the right on their hip or something, right? Or like, but if you see it, though,
you could look in the mirror, but that doesn't. Again, those are all the joint cues that we've gone over a million times that don't work, but
they have to be able to feel the tension.
Yeah.
Because if they just look at the joint cues, you can manipulate. We talked about it and we posted about it. You can manipulate shapes, right? Yeah. We don't want you to just look in the mirror and then you're like, oh, I'm trying to find symmetry.
Yeah.
But you can find symmetry in the wrong way again, So
I think I feel like really lucky that what I do for the seminar is like,
just look good, right? And
well, I got a pose, of course, and I had my hair done nicely, but no, I think I had to wear a hat. But no, I think that like when we sit down and go over this programming, it's like it's obviously great, but like I get to like look at the bigger picture of like what we're gonna translate to people, right?
Yeah.
So then when I get to walk around, I wasn't thinking like I already know most of these, maybe like a dozen or so people in there where like I know some of this stuff already. Yeah. But what am I going to get out of this seminar? And I was walking around to them and they were still getting light bulb moments. Yeah. So I got to see that and I got to chat with people and the overall consensus that I get to take out of it, because you are just like, I know what you're thinking, like next step, right? Like in the middle of the seminar.
For sure. I'm
looking
running.
at the fucking clock and this and that. Yeah. So I get to be the lucky one that gets to walk around and just see the flow, ask people how it's going, and I'm like, so I have some feedback for you that was pretty cool, that the squat is everybody's hardest thing. Yeah. And I talk about it all the time with my patients that come in and go, don't worry, I say it all the time. They always say, don't worry, I don't deadlift because it's bad for my back. But I'm like, but you back squat? Yeah. High bar back squat is probably the most dangerous thing you could do for yourself at a Globo gym. Yeah. Any back squat at the bar if you're not doing it with the right mechanics, But we spent so much fucking time on that squat.
Hour and a half.
Dude.
Hour and a half of just body weight squatting.
And people were like, my hip this, my low back that.
My foot, the arches.
My arches are burning. My shoulders are tight when we're trying to get into a low bar back squat.
I remember Aaron and Dang were all like, my glutes are dying. And we're just like, we're just going and go over a body weight squat assessment right now. Yeah. It's trippy.
And we did a wider stance for everybody. Mm-hmm. And including myself, anybody that got outside of shoulder width. Yeah. That's a key word I try to put into people's minds when I was walking around. I was like, you think, especially taller people with longer femurs, they get shoulder width and then a little bit outside of that and they think they're good. But I'm like, you can go even wider than that with what we're doing to really hip hinge out of there. And it was kind of eye-opening for a few, especially taller guys, that they could do that.
They're allowed to, right?
That they felt comfortable there.
Exactly, because then usually you're stuck on your, I guess, the coaching norms, right? Like,
right.
You know, hips or your feet or hips apart or shoulder width.
Toes pointed forward.
Toes pointed forward.
Everybody was worried about that.
And so with all of the experience of what we've been doing in coaching, it's like we hammer down those like generic key points that everyone says.
Yeah.
But we also were, you know, playing devil's advocate, saying like go wider, but don't take our word for it. We don't want to be, you know, saying like wide's good, narrow's bad.
Right.
Narrow's good, narrow's bad, elbows in, elbows out. It's like you're testing it. Now you know the process. When you do go wider,
yeah.
Do you feel more tension? And then you can see the imbalances fixed. You know, you can feel that the muscles are on, and they can see it, and it's not like bullshit, right?
But
so,
I
like,
think
don't just listen to us.
Some
right?
more athletic people too, when they go wider, your outside glute and outside quad are locked out.
Yeah.
You're taking them to maximal tension and you're externally rotating your hips out, right? So there's no more room left to go.
That's true. You don't feel like you want to keep externally rotating or pushing out.
Can't. So now you have to hip hinge back. You have to turn on medial hammies, groin.
Yeah. You
know, people's groins are, like, for me, when I go a little bit wider, I can feel my medial hammy struggling.
Yeah, people like, you know, the whole thing, even like the medial calf or whatever, you know, like things like that, people were like, whoa, it's hurting or it's burning.
I thought it was really interesting that as a whole, squat was everybody's problem. I'm like, good, this is like matching up to what we've been saying, especially with the injuries that I see are like, God, dude, everybody's so worried about a deadlift. And then I wrote down when we got to the deadlift portion where people were like 20 minutes into it and they were just like, we got this shit.
Yeah, we already know
that. If I just keep my obliques on, I don't give a shit. I'm good.
That's so true, because that was the foundation of, you know, it is just a squat.
Right.
But when we throw in so much teaching and getting them to understand and seeing it, and like they knew how to utilize it right away.
Yeah.
They knew how we were getting feedbacks in the seminar. Oh, my knee doesn't hurt anymore. I'm like, you didn't come in with a knee problem. You came in because you weren't moving properly.
Yeah.
But if you kept squatting that way, people would always treat that knee issue, you know?
Yeah.
They're learning how to apply it on the spot when they got to the deadlift. You know, like it's immediate. That's like, that was the shock. I was hoping and I wanted people to pick it up quick, but it seems like almost too good to be true. Like people are already applying it today.
Yeah.
The coach was like, oh, I applied it to my members today and I saw huge changes. I'm like, this is 4 hours and then day one. They're already using the concept.
I just thought it was great that by the time we get to the deadlift, which seems most complicated, you were like saying too, I almost want to we could just stop the seminar right now and do a deadlift seminar.
Yeah.
To go over how we can get stronger with it rather than just, you know, a FixFit deadlift.
Yeah. But we didn't need to.
We didn't even need to. Yeah. But we wanted to.
Everybody
got excited, and I was
wanted to.
This is. I think I was joking with a few people. I'm like, this is like the only community that I've seen or worked with or that would be excited. This many people be excited to do deadlifts.
Yeah.
Like I said, most people are fucking scared of them, and everyone's just like, let's just start putting weight on the bar right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, this is crazy. And most people's intake said that they want a deadlift PR.
I think, you know, when you're most afraid of a goal, that's the one you're supposed to shoot for, right, in life. That's true. And so therefore, if you've been afraid and you've hurt your back many times on the deadlift, they're like, you know what, let's kind of conquer this once and for all.
Yep. And
I think, you know, we've talked many times, obviously, through the process and creating the structure of the seminar. And it was your idea, so the credit goes to you that, like, the structure, you're like, you got to start with the squat. Because I was like, should I start with the hinge or the press or whatever?
Dude, by the time we got to the hinge dead.
It was so, and you remind me because it's like, yeah, you're right. We should start with the squat because everyone that I've worked with, if you're listening, I've worked with you before, or anyone day one, I don't care what issue you got. It's always my squat assessment.
Yeah.
Because they have to learn the process, and it's the easiest way to coach them through that squat, and then how to show them the problems and how to use that squat assessment as like the foundation. So that was my whole goal, is I'm going to walk this giant group of people through an assessment I would do. Mm-hmm. It's just on a big scale. Mm-hmm. But during, I had to stop and break and make sure I teach them the why. Because, you know, when I'm assessing someone, it's like I got to get there quick. I got to figure out your problem. I got to give you your drills so you don't hurt. But now it was really fun to be able to like sit down and go, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is the little chart I usually use. I write down their deficiency.
I love it.
Their imbalance, their mobility range. and it was so powerful because it was like teaching them the process is so gratifying for us now, because that's what we've been trying to do with this podcast, with the videos. We don't want just like, hey, do hinges, do pistons, you know?
Yeah. Real quick, just a note I took to transition over to the anchor press and strict press that we finished with. People had trouble determining, and maybe we should come up with some more videos on this on Instagram and the Facebook group when the strict press day comes, which is what our day,
Wednesday probably,
or Wednesday,
the
Thursday
second
people,
workout.
The second workout. The second workout will be anchor press, strict press. People were having trouble identifying the difference between the anchor press and not locking out into that, like a full strict press being like a lockout.
Yeah.
So once I told people, they think of the anchor press as like a upper body piston, and I think you said it also in the seminar, then it clicked. Oh, I just want it here to here.
Yeah.
Like my eyeballs to like, as much as my body will let me go.
Exactly.
Staying in that tension range.
Yeah.
Not trying to go, because people were like, oh, I got the anchor here, but then I'm here.
Yep.
And we were talking about that today with the piston as well, that we don't really necessarily want to worry about range of motion. Am I doing a full squat as low as I can? Am I standing all the way up? In that piston, for the purpose of the piston, I'm just turning on my glute max for myself.
In a squat pattern,
yeah. Right. And if I find my deficiencies, my right glute, I'm firing my right glute the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
And talking to one of the people that attended, Jude, this morning, so I asked him how it went, and he's like, and he brought up this term. He's like, so should I do this or should I stay in this tension zone? And I was like, man, I'm stealing that, because I wish I would have had that in the seminar yesterday, because it's those damn terms again, range of motion.
Mm-hmm.
And man, when we travel, it's like everyone still uses that full range of motion, or mobility. What the hell do all those things mean?
How low? I was wondering too, my piston, like, do I want to get really low here? I would just want to hip hinge on my right glute, or my right hip and flex my right glute. Do I care how low I am? Do I care if I'm standing up all the way because I want to extend the hip? Yeah. And you were like, just get that glute max to fire. Keep your arch on. And
yesterday, that was the goal. Is like I helped them define what mobility means. So if I use the term, it's like, okay, make sure you're moving with the right muscles staying on. Right. That's like a lot of fucking words, but at least there's a definition. Right. But this, like, hey, move in your mobility. Oh, what is it? Tension zone. Tension zone. So if you stay in that tension zone, then you're good to go. That is your definition of range of motion. So, like, people need to understand, again, we're challenging the standard norms of training, the rules of training, You can definitely argue, like, well, this piston isn't all the way down or all the way up, or this...
The anchor press will look the same.
Or the deadlift, right, will be different because you're not fully locking in shoulders behind the bar and overextending your lower back. But who gives a shit for us, because our goal is to build a strong foundation, and the only way to do that is you got to keep your muscles on tension zone.
And for people listening that are in the group, if they had trouble with the actual strict press lift from start to finish, I found a few extra drills that I want people doing that are like a little more advanced. So message me if you're dealing with the shoulder pinch, which we always talk about, like if your upper traps kind of tweaked with that. We could talk other things first for the anchor press to fix that.
And so you bring up a good point there, because the same thing happened live in the seminar, and I'm going to go over it again here, where the goal isn't that you have to, like, this isn't like the Bible of like press, right? You have to only do anchor presses. The whole goal of this process is to address the problem, and now there's many different paths you can take to figure out what the problem is. So that's what happened is, the anchor press, this is how we do the movement, is how we assess. And if you can't get it to work, that was the purpose of the anchor press. Right. Some people will have success and get their lats to fire and their abs and their glutes on the press. But if you don't, that's not the point. The anchor press is there to figure out, you should be able to address those muscles or activate them. But if you can, like you said, we're still in the FixFit concepts of like,
to build on that, 2 examples. 2 right shoulder complaints. One person is strict pressing, wondering how to fix it. The other person's finishing a clean and jerk. Yeah. So 2 right shoulder complaints with the same issue, trouble locking out in the right arm and upper trap pain. or I'm sorry, they were both left, but still, they both had upper trap tweaks.
Yeah.
Two different two different goals, right? One person wants to jerk it up, and then the other person wants to strict press it up.
Yeah.
For strength. They both needed drills, in my opinion. One needed a drill for a lower trap, and another person needed a drill for a serratus.
Yeah.
So I can give a few extra things to them, but like you said, the anchor press works for both of them.
Yeah, it's the assessment, like that air squat's universal, the anchor press is universal.
Right.
It's pressing.
Yeah.
And then now that you have the ideal, like, when you assess them when they're moving the right way, then you see the real problems. Because like the before and after videos, the big key point that I was making to people, if we took your first squat, right, and it's like all crooked and lopsided, and your spine's like, it looks like you have scoliosis and flat feet and all the above, we could spend hundreds of dollars getting all these treatments on all these like fake things that you're seeing.
Right.
But once we get them to move the right way and teach them how to use the piston and, like you said, how to use the anchor press, and they still can't get those the lat to fire to stabilize the press, right? Then you have the real problem at hand. So once you have the real problem, now you can do whatever you need to fix it.
Yeah.
But before then, if someone just pressed and you can see elbows flaring out, they're shrugging super high, you won't even know where to begin. You're just kind of guessworking and doing all these weird shoulder drills that have no carryover into actual pressing motion.
So when they get into the workout too, we'll probably just really, really encourage you in that activation portion to live in that tension zone and not worry about, because it's so much easier to not worry about your range of motion with your arms, right? Like, it's so much easier to do an anchor press just like pumping up and down with no tension, versus like in a squat, you're putting a lot of body weight into your hips. So like, you know where your range of motion is at the whole time.
Yep.
So we'll have to really get that point across, maybe make some more videos. But it was off to a good start, and I guess just to kind of fine tune and wrap it all up, where you were mentioning, like, you know, for people that weren't there, we're trying to keep this to 15 to 20 minute workouts 3 times a week.
That's all you need.
And for sure, you want everybody doing every day some sort of activation of the lower body, the core, or the upper body, depending on what lift you're going to do. The lifting, which should only take about 10 minutes, they're mostly EMOM and some lifts.
It's really like, you know, when we look at it, I tell people it's like, it's homework, right?
Right.
You just took the class or the seminar, and now you get homework to practice the squat pattern, practice the activate drill like piston.
Yeah.
You only have to do it for 15 minutes, and we've seen massive success, and now it's just consistency.
So if you're lost, start there for sure. Just do those.
And keep, like, I made it, I programmed so it could be as basic as 15 minutes 3 times a week.
Yep.
Because we want consistency. If you're really trying to master what we're trying to teach you, which is the activate movements, pistons, anchor press, lat hinge, and then the major movement patterns.
Because we have a few
deadlift, press, and back squat.
Right, and I've had a few people already mention time already. Like, I have a busy schedule, I'm going out of town, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you can activate piston body weight anywhere.
That's what I did with the press on the activate, the anchor press.
You were making people do it.
We were shaking arms. And dying. We were lifting our arms up. And it's because I programmed that for people that come in with, like, you know, messed up shoulders and neck, and then they can't lift their arms over the head. And I'm like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm an engineer, I'm an accountant or whatever. And I was like, cool, you can do this with the weight of your arm. Yeah. And we've had success. Yep. So I was telling people, you can do this. There's no excuse not to do 15 minutes 3 times a week.
And if you're at Orange Theory, you're at, you know, some kind of boot camp class, and there's some kind of presses, push-ups. Yeah. If there's deadlifts, because you're just doing the, I don't know, whatever modification they have of RDLs or something, and back squats, you're just doing burpees, like, apply that as your lift in the actual workout and count it. Yeah. Count it for your workout, as long as you have the right muscles on.
We teach the simple movement patterns because you can categorize all the movements or workouts into those things. Mm-hmm. So like we have a diverse group, which is amazing. We have people that predominantly train at like Choose or Orange Theory or CrossFit or just running jiu-jitsu only, like people that have never worked out before. So it's like you can apply, let's say, like you said, we do programs, someone programs like a push-up, that's a press. You're still just working press for that 15 minutes. You're just doing it in a group class.
And if you're lost and don't know, and you went, hey, my class did push-ups today, and I didn't even think in my head that would apply to an anchor press.
Yeah.
And I just tweaked my trap. That's what you have the online community for, to go,
yep.
Hey, I just tweaked my right trap doing a bunch of burpees in the park at a boot camp class.
Yeah.
What the hell did I do wrong? Well, let's look. How's your anchor press working? Is your right pec on?
And even just asking that question, we already won.
Exactly.
Like, asking that question, like, oh, I tweaked my trap in class.
Do you think it's a push-up thing?
What do you think happened? What wasn't firing? Like that right there, boom! Like we've done it.
It wasn't the boot camp class.
It
wasn't the boot camp class fault.
It wasn't anything's fault. Like right. It's your body. You're doing the movement that's prescribed. Or if you went for a run, you don't blame the run.
Yeah.
Like you don't blame the concrete on the floor or something. So it's like they're just thinking. It's the shoe. That's
the shoe.
You got to go get assessed and see what kind of shoe you need.
The podiatrist.
It's the orthotics. I forgot to put them in.
Got to get the orthotics. And then the functional bodybuilding, the FixFit Jacked.
We want to talk about that more in depth.
We'll have a whole episode on that because that shit's just fun. I mean, that is always the best part, to get a pump.
I think what we neglected of the value of this program is the programming concept that we're going to talk about next episode or something. Because the whole structure of how to like a better warm up, your exercise, and then a better finisher, we just threw it in there because that's how we train. But now looking through it and applying it, it's like it's such an easy method that you can apply to anything you do.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like going through. I'm like, man, we got to really dive deeper in it to explain like why we labeled the why.
I had someone just look through it that wasn't at the seminar and just wondering what all these names were, and I'm like, don't worry about that. Yeah. You have to go on to the Facebook group and watch the videos of that we're gonna be uploading soon on the piston and the squat assessment and all that. What you missed at the seminar to start with.
Yeah.
Just start there. The FixFit Jacked episode will be its own. And just because we release it next week doesn't mean you can start it next week, and we're encouraging to wait. It also doesn't mean after it releases next week, like, oh, now I can start trying it.
Yeah.
And I should do it. It's like, you can always go back to that episode in a month, if you want.
Yeah. Do
the first 4 weeks of just this, maybe the first 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And then go back and listen to FixFit Jacked later, because that is the fun one. Like DJ posted his already getting started last night. He was like, getting a head jump.
In his intake form, his goal was really cool. He wants to look like a bodybuilder and move like a CrossFitter.
Fucking love it.
Because then that's CrossFitters. I know the games athletes, they look jacked, but most people are in balance as hell. Like all upper traps and terries and.
If he PRs something, well, his shirt's always off when he's lifting, huh? I want a Hulk Hogan one of those. If he PRs something that he's aiming for.
You brought that
500-pound dead, right? I think he's thinking. He was getting close.
He was close. He'll get it. I mean, I think his goal is always that 300-pound snatch. So but that's definitely a different. Because we want to work the foundation first, and then there's adjustments to be made if you're training for like golf or Olympic lifting. So. Yeah. You brought up a good point with people like a lot of them have been through FixFit.
Yeah.
They've been the journey. A lot of them probably signed up to support us. So hats off to those people to just sign up because. They're trying to they believe in us and they've been following us. So, thank you for those people. But like you said, I think everyone got something out of it that they probably didn't even expect. They probably expected the same, oh, I've heard this before. I've been to a FixFit class. I've been to Saturdays. I've been through this. But DJ was a prime example. Our head coach at the gym, he's been through all of it. But he was kind of shocked after I did the assessment on the first Saturday. And he's like, it's crazy to see the initial difference right away. Mm-hmm. And he was like, man, I can't believe back in the day it would be so difficult to articulate to them and figure out how to fix all these issues.
Yeah.
And now he's like, man, just focusing on 2 or 3 things, you get that immediate change.
Like you said, if you're back hurt, you just grab a sandbag and walk with it. You guys were
like, squat with a sandbag, that should help it.
It's fucking working.
Yeah.
But why? He just had no idea yet,
And so. Even Hoadley's been deep down the rabbit hole with me and all this stuff, and then same thing, him learning that, what's his mobility range that he should train under, train within the tension zone. Is he actually using his VMOs or not? So it's they're picking up things too, and I think it's just part of the evolution, which is really cool to see. Because I would hate to you've already learned enough, and I've already seen your videos. This is
because we didn't call it FixFit Advanced Seminar. We didn't call it beginners course.
That's why
we said concepts, and a person that's been doing it with us for 3 years that was there still learning.
Yeah.
Is crazy because it's like it tells you that what we've evolved from it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just step one, and
it's because we take it for granted, at least for me, because it's like, yes, people, let's say, have been on the same journey for 3 years with me, right? But they weren't at every one of those one-on-ones I've done in those 3 years.
Or every Sunday.
Every Sunday, right? I just know they've been along the process, but like that's where the programming slowly gets molded and evolves, right? Like every time I assess someone and figure it out quicker. So now, like what they experience Saturday or Sunday, it's just been an evolution of that.
Yeah, and
so
honestly, we just
different,
need, like you were saying, at the very minimum, we have something to be accountable for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Now you and I, like, we know when to modify a workout, when to work on, my back's a little tweaked, I'm going to roll it out and do this and that for it, a piston, and we know to do that stuff. Like Leslie was saying too, she did pistons on her car ride because her back got tight from sitting in the car too long. We know to do that stuff, but last week, did she hit 3 FixFit 20-minute workouts?
Yeah.
No. Now she's going to. Yep. So like the gains and the bigger results of performance are going to happen, and it feels so much better.
That's where the benefit of being like, you know, CrossFit gym owner and community oriented, you know, we know what's fun, we know what programs people like to do, and then we get to integrate this, like, hey, let's do this together. And then even for us, we just finished the first workout. We both were stressed and had a lot of stuff going on today. Mm-hmm. We would not have gotten into the gym.
No.
If we didn't have a group of people.
Exactly.
It was like we would have been like, the last 3-4 weeks have been like that, prepping for the seminar. I didn't even work out. I'm like, I'm too busy.
Same.
But it's just, creatures of habits, and also you need people to motivate you and keep you on your toes, keep you accountable.
No time to even get a full 1 hour workout in, but we knew we had 30 minutes to...
Yeah, and we were in and out, just basic. Yeah. The basic template is what we did.
Right. That's a good start. And we were both saying, God, I know for me too, like my muscles were so cold in the beginning where I was like, this is just a literal good start.
Yeah.
Like this is even strength training yet.
And just holding the bar in that back squat position, like my shoulders haven't even been there for a while.
So sore tomorrow.
So let's talk about that real quick. Like, how many people were like feeling weird sorenesses the next day?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like immediate change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the story that the black belt jiu-jitsu guy Leo posted on. He told me this after he took the seminar on Saturday. He's like, I've been running. This is all he's been doing other than, so he's not working. I was just running. So he's been running for 3 weeks, and then standard kind of that, like, he just keeps adding a little bit of intensity or mileage. Like, I'll go a couple blocks further. So he's been running consistently for 3 weeks straight, and then comes to a point, his knee started hurting, his back started hurting, and then he's like, man, this is not right. And he remembers some of the stuff I worked with him before. He's like, I'm gonna tighten up my obliques, but move, and relax other muscles. And then his back and knee felt way better. But the next day, what shocked him was like, what got him to come to the seminar was like, he felt so many sore muscles that he hasn't felt, but he's been running 3 weeks straight. Yeah. It's like mind blowing. It's like you're doing the same activity, and all of a sudden you have all these muscles that you weren't using.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, I think, the feedback people were getting for the.
We had someone too with plantar fasciitis, like acute too, like in the past week.
Yep.
That it was waking up every morning with plantar fasciitis.
Yeah. From
running and hiking.
Yep.
And one seminar, feet were burning the whole time. Woke up today, no pain.
And that's what we even talked about. You were like, "Oh man, the burning."
I was like, we're flipping a coin.
I hope
to see how you feel tomorrow.
But we figured out it's like there's a difference between like,
stretched it out,
like activating muscles versus it like hanging on for dear life.
She broke up all the tension inside of the fascia, which is what you're supposed to do. The fascia's all tight all the time. You wake up and it's still tight. Now you overstretched it and just burned it through it.
It's the arch concept. The reason in the foot, the reason that it probably felt better is because people talk about flat foot, and your arch support.
Yep.
And so getting your arches to work with your glutes and hamstring VMO, that's what was happening yesterday. That's why the arches feel better versus the arches hanging on for dear life. And it's unrealistic for that arch to carry your whole body weight hiking all the time.
Yep.
So therefore, that was the difference. Both of the times the arches were burning, but one's actually fixing it, the other one's making it worse.
Yeah, that's great. We'll be hearing so many more wins, but I hope everybody that went to the seminar listens to this episode, and then I hope anybody that didn't go starts asking some questions soon.
I'm still here for, you could, book one-on-ones and assessments. I'm still here to fix people,
a few people that I should set you up with.
That's what I've been doing, and, what I talked about, I'm not like a influencer, more just coach trainer, and so I've been doing a lot more one-on-ones versus like posting a bunch of shit on Instagram. Because I want them to learn it. So if they didn't have the chance to sign up for the 8 weeks, but in the near term, if something's fucked up, come see us still.
Hit up Mark's son. If you really break yourself in this process, come here.
Don't have pain into the holidays.
Check yourself.
Before you wreck yourself. And then if you guys are listening, hopefully that took the seminar, keep sharing those stories, man, because that's what's cool. Like, seeing just day one already, like this morning, I'm having so much success. You don't have to wait for I just did this powerlifting or weightlifting program or run program for 12 weeks.
That's what you're saying. We don't want just PR or not PR.
Yeah,
at the end of it. Like, you should.
That's the nice to have.
That's why I think you called it the concept seminar. Not
ebook or 12-week training cycles, get strong cycle or whatever.
Exactly. It's not another cycle.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not what our goals are. So we don't want to be.
Yeah. Well, make sure you follow Cook Cairo. We're already posting some workouts on there. Make sure you follow Mark's son Fitness. He's got workouts on there and a ton of content. Facebook group. Stay active on there, and there'll be a lot of Facebook lives like we did today. Actually, we did some Facebook lives of our workout process. So we'll see you guys back on there in a couple days. Anything else? Let's wrap this up. It's time to eat.
Yeah, no, we're good. Book us for a workshop at your gym, whoever you are.
Oh yeah.
If you're a coach, if you're a golf instructor, if you're a baseball player, I don't know, any and everyone.
Let's do it.
Hit us up.
Good stuff.